What's up, everybody? You've tuned in to Just Draws, the podcast that explores hot topics and various experiences among same gender loving Black men. In each episode, we offer raw, vulnerable, and stripped down perspectives to give voice to our frequently overlooked population. Here, we don't just scratch the surface, we dive deep, peeling back the layers of our experiences as well as heteronormative stereotypes. Let's get into this week's episode.
So that leads me to, have you ever gone through like a friend breakup where you had a friend, no matter what level, and things just kind of like ended, negatively? I know I've had that situation before. A long time ago, I had a friend that I considered, pretty good friend. We were friends for over 2 or 3 years. Hung out almost every weekend. Went on a couple of trips together, just like road trips or whatever. And then things just kind of dissipated over the fact that I wanted some assistance with moving out or moving into a new place. And mind you, I'd helped this person move, I think twice. So when it was my turn, I'm thinking I'm going to get, some type of reciprocation. That ended up being the reason why we were no longer friends. So I kind of felt like, this kind of sucks. But it is what it is. So on my part, I don't feel like I did anything negative, but when I asked them, hey, would you be able to help me? Then my answer that I got was, you're trying to move on Memorial Day weekend, and I'm going to Atlanta. Like, oh, okay, cool. But it was presented in a way where the answer made it seem like I was stupid for asking him because it was Memorial Day. But my brain doesn't think of like that, or wasn't thinking about that at the time. So, great. He could have just said, oh yeah, I'm going to be out of town that weekend. I would have been like, oh, cool, it's Memorial Day weekend, I'm gonna be out. I was just thinking that was an extra day off to help me be able to have extra time to move in, because that's how my thought process is. But not necessarily, oh, you dummy, why would you want to move on Memorial Day weekend? I'm going to Atlanta. So it was kind of like that. So my issue was less that he didn't want to help me move. That would have been fine. It was the reaction that I got from the ask. So yeah, that kind of like sucks, because this was a person that, I spent a fairly good amount of time with. And kind of seeing that kind of break up like that was just like difficult. So that's my friend breakup story.
How dare you ask someone to
I
help you
know.
move during Gay Pride, one of the many Black gay prides in Atlanta?
One of the several.
I'm so stupid.
Many.
Stupid.
The plethora of gay Black
shame
prides.
on me.
Yeah.
Shame on me.
You got what you deserved on that one.
Clearly.
You shouldn't
They have a Christmas pride by now. I'm sure somebody's celebrating one down there.
Thanksgiving pride, Halloween pride. Tomorrow
Election
is
Day
pride. First Friday. Yeah, everything.
Yeah. But have any of you gone through something similar where your breakup, you had to end a friend or something like that, that relationship had to just not be a friend anymore? And that person is just like over there now?
I'm the kind of person who, like, I feel like there has to be like a reason to break up, like to like completely be like, oh, I'm really, really not messing with this person anymore. I mean, real life happens. People get space and distance between themselves and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You may become less tight or things like that. Fluctuations in relationships. But yeah, I'm not the kind of person who's just like it has to be something really extreme for me to be like, oh, I'm really not messing with you anymore. Because I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, most things, when we look back at it, couple weeks later, they aren't as serious as they felt in the moment. You know what I mean? So I'm one of those people who try to think about that when it comes to relationships in general. With friendship being, a major one. However, I did have an instance where, and it really tripped me out. I mean, and I see the red flags, and I see how the relationship wasn't genuine now. You know what I mean? Being more mature and as time has passed. But yeah, I had a friend who I used to work with, and we used to be thick and thieves, like out thick as thieves, excuse me. We used to be out all the time, hitting the streets. Um, but we worked together, so it would be like after work, kind of hanging out and stuff like that. But I mean, like we were pretty much always together outside of work, unless he was out like and this was a straight dude, and so unless he was out with like one of the girls he was hounding, you know what I mean, or chasing or dating at that point, and and well, it's particular to my situation, where it's like we would a lot of times go out in groups anyway, you know what I mean? So we'd be hanging out in groups and stuff like that, working in nightlife and stuff like that. So, but yeah, like, I mean, you talk about crashing at my house all the time. Like, I've crashed up at his house. I've dog sat for him, when he was out of town, him and his girl on some trip or stuff like, or something like that. And it was so crazy because he tried to say we had gotten into it, and then he ended up moving away a little bit after that, a little bit after that time, him and his at that point fiance. And so we kind of just never really reconciled the relationship itself, or like what the falling out was about. And then come down the line a couple years, and I find out from another mutual friend that he said there was an implication that like I had like hit on him or something. And what he tried to use as me hitting on him was me calling him attractive. He was like, literally said, you said that I was cute. I'm like, and mind you, this is why we were drunk. And I'm like, and I don't even remember it, but I'm like, I'm not coming on to you. Like, I hang out with your fiance all the damn time. Like, nobody's hitting on you, sir.
Mhm.
That's not what any of this is. Like, and you know that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't know what else may have fueled something along that line. Like there was some kind of other ulterior motive or something that he was standing on, but it really, really blew my mind, because I'm like, you have got to be kidding me, sir. Like, and yeah, after that, we just like it certainly killed the relationship,
Yeah.
obviously. But looking back on it, and I remember another friend of mine, another mutual friend, really my friend, but worked with both of us, and she was telling me, she was like, like, no, he's like a user. He's like a social user.
Hmm.
So, and anybody who knows me knows that I'm like a very generous, giving person. Like if we're socializing, I'm out in the streets and we're hanging out, we're out at dinner. I'm not the kind of person divvying up the bill, all that kind of stuff. Like to like, oh, I had the wings. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a very, very generous social person with people who I have relationship with. Um, and yeah, and she had been saying that, that was kind of the vibe that she had gotten from him over that time. And, apparently she was right, and then when you look back, you see it from different instances, but I don't have to go into all those, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things that you end up, when you look back on it, you actually see the signs.
Yeah. I mean, and it's some people don't know how to take compliments too. And sometimes, you said that he was straight. So maybe he was like, he didn't know how to process that compliment coming from another man.
No, you know what it was? It wasn't that. He didn't know how to process it coming from me,
Oh,
because
okay.
the thing is, like, and especially in our work atmosphere, I mean, there were lots of gay men, and like mostly more feminine gay men, and like so they'd be more flirty and stuff like that all the time. People would laugh it off. I didn't even flirt with him, like, you know what I mean? Like, and because I was the kind of person who I was, the kind of gay man that I am, like people sometimes turn blinders on, and like they forget that you're a gay man, and it's just like they think that you're just one of the boys, because you are one who just happens to be gay, you know what I mean? So if something remotely gay comes out of your mouth, or gay related, it like shocks them back into reality, like, oh yeah, I forgot this
Mm,
motherfucker's gay. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but
you're fine.
yeah, you know what I mean. It was that kind of thing, because I'm like, as much as people will be all up in your face, these other boys be all flirting with you and all this kind of stuff, and we don't even move like that. And the instance is that I'm pretty sure he was talking about. I think we were out one night, and we were talking about something work related, and I was implying how like in the industry, in hospitality in New York City, it is a very much an industry where looks matter, where looks can gain you access. You know what I mean? And so it was along that line. Like that was the connotation. It wasn't like, you know what, you're cute. Like, no, of course not. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it was stupid, but and you know it's unfortunate because and well maybe it's really not unfortunate at the end of the day because people's true colors show.
Yeah.
But um it was unfortunate in the sense of a relationship dissolving, but it was one that was clearly meant to dissolve because it wasn't solid from the beginning.
And I just want to say real quick before we jump to someone else that the situation that I was talking about was over 20 years ago. So it was a long time ago. And I would not process things the same way today as I did then. So, then it was just like, all right, cool. Well, I'm deuces. Now I probably would have been a little bit more, all right, well, this is fixable, and just kind of move on. But yeah, so I thought about that while I was for context. My situation was over 20 years ago. So,
And really
Sean,
quick, let me
you have,
also add real fast.
oh, okay.
Just for concept of to add context to how we became like really fast friends. Like and one thing he had told me how like he didn't have many male friends. Like all of his relationships were women, like exes and like females and like who he had tried to like date and stuff like that. And like he spent all of his social time in the dating space. You know what I mean? In a woman chasing space. And so I think I was even more convenient for him because he wasn't used to that. You know what I mean? He wasn't used to having homeboys like that.
Okay.
Like to the point where like I was supposed to be the best man at his wedding. Like put it like that. So like we weren't like surface level friends. You know what I mean? Like so yeah, it's crazy, but it's one that ended per your question.
Okay. Gotcha. Sean, would you like to go next?
So what I was alluding to before, the friends of mine who passed through, it said because he had a similar experience as I did, and we're not talking like a 2 or 3 year relationship. We're talking like friends for 20, 25 years plus.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and truly really close friends. And so, he was relating to me what was going on with him. And I just said, yeah, I said, look, you have the right to be hurt by this because I had the same experience where, and he knew this other friend of mine, but like one of my closest friends, like one day there was no falling out, nothing, but literally just stopped talking and stopped responding in any way, shape, or form. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. And people would ask me, like, what's going on between you guys? And I'm like, you have to ask him. I have no idea. Like, literally no idea. So this went on for a couple of years. And this is someone who had been literally one of my closest friends for well over 20 years. And I had no idea what was going on. And then my closest friend ended up dying. One of my two closest friends ended up dying. And then my relationship with this other guy who just stopped talking normalized for several years. Like the first time I was really hurt, and then it normalized for several years and things were back to normal. And then the same thing happened again, where it's like he was just MIA, wasn't talking, wasn't responding in any way, shape, or form. And I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on, but fine. And, it's one of those where the same thing happened to friends of mine who just passed through here last week. And I was just saying, look, you have legitimately have a reason to be hurt. And it's like, you'll make it through this. I know it's tough now, but it's one of those where it's weird, where you have no reason, no rationale. There was never a falling out. There's presumably like, you just have no idea. Because it's like, for me, I'll still end up in the same space with this former friend of mine. And, I have to admit, I just don't give it any energy anymore. I'm just like, I'll be cordial. I'll say hello, like, and I'll be honest. If I know he's going to be there, I can be cordial in terms of, hey, if I don't know he's going to be at whatever the event is and he shows up, I'm a bit salty where it's like, hey, and then I move on. And it's like, it's clear, stay away from me. Look, I didn't swear. I just want to point that out. Because normally I would. But it's, so it's a challenge. But like my buddy that was passing through, he and his wife, like it's a couple that they hang out with, and they still see the wife and talk to. It's a little bit more uncomfortable. But his buddy, the same thing, just MIA, and they have been friends for more than 20 years, and it's a tough thing, especially when there's no rationale behind it, and you're kind of like, literally nothing has changed as far as I know, and clearly as far as everyone else knows, because everyone's always asking, what happened with you guys? I'm like, don't know.
Darius, you have an experience with that, with a friend breakup?
I have a few actually, but when I was thinking about that, as I was listening to all of your instances or your stories, most of my breakups with my friends have been due to the lack of mutuality. In that, I'm coming back to that term again. A lot of instances have been where you make friends, you're friends for whatever that season is. And I really kind of hate the term about, oh, you're friends with people for a season. You were going to say something, Sean?
No, that's it. No, I don't. Do you really hate that season?
I
reason?
I do.
I don't. Oh, I think that's true. Oh,
yeah.
I think that's true.
I think
season, reason, or a lifetime.
It's definitely true for some relationships.
Yeah, and I feel
lifelong.
I feel like though, for me, if I'm gonna call you a friend, that and I go back to those compartmentalized kind of relationship things that I have, that if I call you a friend, like, you're a friend. Like, there isn't a season necessarily for a friend. If we don't talk, or we don't kick it, or we don't have that sort of relationship, then we weren't really friends. We were something else. Now, I might have called it friendship at the time, but that wasn't what it was.
But can I say, I mean, for me, I'll be really honest. Like, well, I'm trying to think. So, like, my closest friends now that I think, like, they are not people that I don't talk to them daily. And it's, I mean, but these are people, and I have people that are literally some of my closest friends that I would trust, like, implicitly,
right, wholeheartedly.
Who it's like, if I don't talk to them for 3 months and then we talk, we pick up like nothing has ever happened. It's like,
now notice how you said closest friends. So you've established that who those people are. You've established your level of trust with them, all of that. And so those are not people that you would say, okay, we were just friends for a season.
Oh,
right?
No.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. Like, so for me, if I'm going to call you a friend, and especially if I'm going to call you a close friend, that's not somebody that I have a season with. So I may use the term friendship or friend loosely, but it's not somebody that I am specifically like if it's just for a moment, then it's like, okay, well, then we weren't friends. We were this, or we were something else. So I'm not, I don't, and like I said, I may have used the term loosely. Like, I'll go back to when I was in school. There were people that I was cool with when I was in school, and we had this common objective of obtaining our degree. And so that was what it was. Now, these are not people that I would necessarily call my friends, though. I would say, okay, these are people that I kicked it with when I was in school, or these are acquaintances, or these are people who, like, I went to school with, like this is my college buddy, or the person I went to school with. Like, it would be something like that. It wouldn't be like, oh, this is my friend, because I don't talk to these people. But the people that I've called my friends, and these are people that I've had over 200 hours with, and that I have, told things to, and have been with me during really like rough periods and stuff like that. These are people that have been in my life, and then something shifted, and I'm not sure what that was. It might have been, quote, life. It could have been that, or it could have been some other things. But the the mutuality that I look for in relationships. And I don't even, sometimes I don't even like to use the word consistency, because consistency is objective.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, like even just the fact that, okay, I shouldn't have to be the one that reaches out all the time. I shouldn't have to be the one. There are friends that I went to school with and I had spent time with. I have a person who I would still consider her a friend, but we just don't talk at all. And I've known her for 40 years.
Mm.
We were in kindergarten together, and I've known her that long. I know her family. I was there when uh her younger brother, she has a younger brother who passed away of HIV. I was at the funeral. I was one of the pallbearers, one of his pallbearers. I was there when she had all of her kids. She has 4 kids. She has 2 children that are in college right now. One of them actually is at my alma mater right now. I was there when she went through weight loss surgery, and like I've been there for her. And so I backed away from her because I don't get that back. Like I don't get a phone call. I don't get a text. I don't get like anything from her. And then like if I come into town, it's like, well, when I go back home to North Carolina, I'm like, okay, well, like if I want to see you, I have to do all of the work. I have to figure out where we're going to go. I have to come to you. I like there's even points where I can't say, hey, let's go to dinner. I'll be home for a week. Let's find a time so that we can go to dinner, we can catch up, stuff like that. Like it's always a thing of she doesn't have time. And even her husband, I know her husband, and her husband's like, I want her to go hang out with you because I know you. I know what you all have been through together. And so there are instances where I had to kind of step back from a lot of those situations, or a lot of those instances, because it's like, well, what am I getting? I'm filling up your cup,
Mhm.
and I'm not getting my cup filled in return, or I'm not even getting, 2 drops added back to my cup, like none of that. So a lot of the friend breakups that I have had have been because of things like that. And I'll still see her like on social media, and I get my news from her or about her through social media, or maybe through somebody else that I just so happened to run into that we were in school with, and they were like, "Hey, have you talked to?" Nope, have not. You know, I haven't. So a lot of my friend breakups have been because of those sorts of things, and then it makes me wonder too, kind of like what Brandon was saying about, okay, were these really friends, or were these people that were like, okay, these were people that were going through a certain situation? Like this was somebody I was in school with. This was somebody that I did this with. With her is a little different. And that really hurt me. That really bothered me, because of all of the people that I was friends with, or thought I was friends with. She was the one that stayed the most consistent. But in hindsight, it was me overcompensating for the fact that I wasn't even being met halfway in that relationship. And at the time, I was okay with it, I guess. But as I got older, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm not okay with this.
Mhm.
Like I'm going through some of my own things too. And while I'd love to be there for everybody and be everything to everybody all the time, I'd love to do that. But like sometimes I had to back away and take care of some things, and reset and do all of these things. And who's going to be there for me? Go
A
ahead.
quick question. Do
Mhm.
you think that in an instance of you needing her, do you think that she'll be there for you, or do you think that it'll also kind of be like something that she'll keep to the side, or do you think she's the kind of person who, considering all that you've been through, like you guys have a very constant relationship.
Mhm.
Um, so do you think that even though she's not as social, because in my mind is I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt of being a mom of 4 kids,
Mhm.
being a mother, being a wife, and all that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
to where like she might not have as much wiggle room, not to negate what you're saying by any
No, I get
means,
that.
your stance. because the same way she can post on Facebook or Instagram, she could also shoot you a text back. So I get that. You know what I mean? I get what you're saying. But I'm just wondering, but based on how constant your relationship has been, is she someone who you think would, at the drop of a dime, if you really, really needed her and you let her know that she'd show up for you?
I can't answer that.
That's fair.
I can't.
That's fair.
I honestly can't answer that. I could, and part of the reason why I don't think I could answer that is because I don't know that I would reach out to her.
Okay.
I'm at that phase where it's like when I'm kind of done, I'm done. You know, and if I've taken a stance on something, I'm usually firm in that. I'm usually clear about it. You know that, okay, this is where I am. This is how I'm going to move. This is how I'm going to function. That is what it is. And it takes a minute for me to get there, but when I'm there, we're you know, I'm there. I'm standing, sitting, laying on business in that wherever that is.
So you weren't getting the type of friendship from her that you felt like you were giving her.
Yes.
It was not being reciprocated.
Yeah.
Although I will say this. So I'm probably wired a little bit different than you guys from the standpoint that, so I'm definitely not the, in most situations, not the communicator and stuff like this. But like, if you talk to my closest friends, and even people that are friends but not my closest, they'll be like, oh yeah, like in a pinch, we're calling Sean. Because I'm not that guy. I'm good on my own in my own little silo and shit like this. But one thing people know, especially if you're close to me or you are truly a friend, it's like I'm the first place people are turning when they need something. And I have to admit, it's like I'd like to have a lot more avenues to turn to myself.
Right, because that was going to be my next question. So like, they're turning to you, but then who can you turn around to?
I know the people that I can turn around to, but I'm also, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, the reality is this. It's like I'm thankful for this because I actually talked about this with other friends of mine who are in similar situations. It's like, thankfully, I'm in a position where I don't have to really. I'll look to other people like in terms of their opinions and shit like that, but like I don't really find myself in a bind or in a pinch or anything like that, so I don't have to worry about it. But the bottom line is, like, the people in my life, they'll tell you, they're like, look, if stuff is going awry, like, one of the places we know we're going to look is to Sean. And my thing is like, I have to admit, I'm definitely not the best communicator in terms of, I'm always like, you know what? I'm happy to sit here and process my own stuff and kind of hang out. I hope you recognize how much I'm self-editing, but process my own stuff and just hang out and not really worry about things, or kind of work it over in my mind. And then if I need to, talk it over. But I'm going to be there for everyone that needs me to be there. And there are a core group of people that if I needed something, I would turn to for their thoughts and opinion and stuff like that. And Darius, like, this woman sounds like one of those people who really, she takes and
she takes and takes and takes. He consumes and consumes and consumes.
Yeah. And it's like, it's like without condition. It's like, I'm just going to take everything you give to me, but you know that you can't go to her with anything you're going through. Whereas like for me, it's like, I'm going to be there for like the people that are my close friends, the people that are my friends. And then I know the people that I could actually go to if I needed to kind of go to for their thoughts or support or whatever that is. And I mean, it's really, I just don't think that everyone has the capacity to really deal with their own stuff as well as help others work through what they're going through.
And that I get. I'm like you in terms of I'm not necessarily looking for a therapist, like, or I'm not always looking for a sounding board in that. But sometimes I do need that. And sometimes I'd like to be able to not have to seek someone else when I need a sounding board. Like it would be nice that even if you just check in to say, hey, I haven't spoken to you in a while. How are things going? Or is everything okay? Like it could be something as simple as that. That would give me enough. That would give me that would fill me up enough to go, okay, I feel this from this person. And I think that being everything or being able to be the one that everybody can come to, I'm tired. Like I'm tired of always being that person, and then like, okay, well, where's somebody else reaching out? You know?
No, I get that, but I'll say this, and again, and it's not defensive in any way. I mean, honestly, but it's one of these where it's like, I honestly feel like I am not good at one of those reaching out, at being that person that reaches out. But I know this. It's like, you know, if I'm in the DMV and I'm like, hey Darius, I want to get together, let's hang out. We
Which
do,
you've done.
and then we're like, we have kind of the dump of like the crazy that's going on.
Right.
But I also think that, you know, it's like if you were really going through something, you would be like, hey, can I talk to you about this? And you know, I'd be there.
Yeah.
But by the same token, I am not the guy that normally is like, I mean, I try and be better, because I do have a friend of mine in Atlanta where we're trying to be better about this, where I'm like pinging him every now and again. And I'm like, hey, just checking in. I know I need to be better about this. I'm just not.
But there's an awareness there. There's an awareness, and there's movement on your part to do better. Like you've acknowledged it, and you said, okay, I know I'm not this, but I am doing better. I'm working to do better. So I will reach out and do like you're doing that though.
And I'll be honest, and part of the problem too is like, for the most part, my closest friends are very much like I am, where it's just like, I haven't talked to you for 4 months, but you know what? Let's catch up, and we are good to go. Right. I may talk to you tomorrow or the next day or in a couple weeks, or I may not talk to you for another 4 months. But either way, it's good. And that is, and it's probably, I attract a lot of, like, for my closest friends, I attract a lot of people like me.
Right.
Which is probably why I am like I am, instead of kind of like others. Like, you know, I was talking about quickly, like the friend of mine who died, who literally was one of my closest friends. And, you know, he died by a stroke. So just so you know, not like suicide or anything, but by a stroke. So, but like, he was one of my closest friends, but it was also one of these where, you know, he'd have bouts of depression and stuff. I wouldn't hear from his ass for weeks. And I'd just be like, okay, I know what's going on. And that was fine. But it's, you know, I would ping him while he was going through this, knowing I wasn't going to hear back from him, but knowing that when he was kind of coming out of whatever it was that he was going through, that I would hear from him. But it was just like, for people who I sense need a little bit more of that kind of constant check-in or regular check-in. I won't say constant, regular, because I'm not good at constant. Regular check-in, I can provide that. But if I'm like, you're relatively stable, and it's like, we'll talk when we talk, or if you're going through something, you're gonna kind of be like, dude, help me out because I got crazy going on, then I'm good to go. But I have to admit, simply because I kind of live in my own little world where I'm like, I process a lot of shit myself.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. So it's not even about like, okay, I'm just going through stuff and nobody's checking in on me because I'm going through stuff. It's like it could even be as simple as, hey, I ain't talked to you in 2 years. I ain't talked to you in 4 years. Like I literally the last time she and I
Oh,
had
I
that
have those.
conversation. Yeah, like and it's fine, but like I shouldn't have to always be the one to do the hey. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying. Like even if it's 4 years, 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days, 3 hours, it doesn't matter. It's that there should be something, there should be some sort of reciprocity there. And that's where a lot of my issues have come with my friends is that there doesn't seem to be any reciprocity there, but they want consistency from me,
Right.
kind of thing. And it's like, okay, well, I get it that
And
you're probably going through more things definitely than I am, but I don't get anything back, like
and the
nothing back.
difference is they expect that from you, whereas like my folks, they know. Like
So they don't expect it.
my parents are old, like 85 and
Yeah.
91. I'll get these little things. It's like, and this has been my whole entire life where it's like, yeah, we haven't heard from you. I hope you're okay. And I'm just like, yeah, don't try passive aggressive shit with me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah.
But,
Right. Yeah.
I'm just like, it is not my strong suit unless, and there are very few people, I have to admit, that I know that need it, but I try. Like when people are going through things and stuff like that, and I know they're going to need kind of that extra support. Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah. And it was the same thing. It was the same thing with me and her when her brother passed away. I was there. I was right there. And when she was going through, whatever else, when she was pregnant, all of her pregnancies, I was right there. All of those things. So I don't have a problem. I didn't have a problem with that at the time. But there comes a point where it's like, okay, like,
oh no. There are certain people. Oh,
what's going
trust me.
on?
Like the people who take.
Mhm.
No, you get to a point where you're willing to cut that off, and it's like, but
Yeah.
again, the majority of people who take are either, for me, they're either people that I'm related to where I'm just like, okay, I'm done, or they're people that weren't that close, and I'm like, okay, I was willing to help you to a point.
Yeah, because
We've
yeah, right.
surpassed that point.
Yeah. And let me add this caveat that there have been times where she was there for me. Like there were times that she definitely was there, but it was like long time ago when we were doing, we were kind of being consistent, but
so let me talk about that, because here's what
yeah.
happens is this reserve gets built up and then depleted, and you get to this point where it's like there is no reserve. It's on empty.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I was saying at the top of that. It was like, okay, okay, that's it. Like that's been my breakups. There have been that where it's like in terms of what you're saying, that reserve has been depleted with a lot of people, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not sure I have too much else to give here, and I don't have anything else to give because the shit is on E. So I gotta back away, because that's what it. Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, you have to reserve
yeah.
some for yourself.
Yeah. Well,
so it sounds like the two of you know what types of friends that you are, other people. You two sound like y'all are more of the I will be there for you type of person.
Oh, bitches know they can rely on me until I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like I am the type of person that I feel I'm in a similar position. I feel like I am Mr. Dependable at times. And I recently have been collecting, or I'm not going to say collecting. I can say I've been attracting people in my friend circle that are younger than me. And I've been put in this big brother, uncle type of position where my advice or opinion is being asked a lot. And that's interesting. And I don't mind it. I'm the youngest of my siblings. it's a cool position to be in, to be like, oh, y'all want to know my opinion on something, or you want my advice. So I do like that. So I feel like I'm the sounding board friend, where I will sit there and I'll listen to you, rant and rave about what have you, or just pour your heart out, or you're going through something. Oh, he broke up with me, this and the other. I'll be there and listen to you and do that. I'm okay, with absorbing that at times. And I feel like it lets me kind of see people's different experiences. And as a person that has been through different breakups, I've been on the planet for almost half a century now. I feel like I do have a little bit of life experience that, hey, don't do what I did when I was in a situation like this before, or I would do this if I were you. Now, you don't have to follow my advice, but I do feel like, I'm in a position now where I can kind of, what I want to say, mentor, some people, and I don't have it all together. I'm not 100% perfect, but I do feel like I'm the type of friend that I'm dependable, I'm reliable, and I'm trustworthy. I'm not going
Please send
to
them to
put
me so
your
I can be like, throw in the towel now, give it up. It doesn't. It's awful. Don't
see. You're gonna be the
send them.
friend that have
Send
them
them to me. I'll be a
jumping
true
off the
friend.
bridge.
Unlike you leading them astray, I'll be a true friend. I'll be like, no, bitch, give it up.
You're
No,
gonna have them
throw
jumping
in
off
the
the
towel
bridge,
now. Bam. Done.
slicing
Go home,
they
Trey.
veins the
They will
correct
thank
way.
me later.
No, don't do that.
Right, and he's
They
gonna
will
have people
thank
on
me
suicide
later.
watch.
Right.
Exactly.
They will thank me later. I'll be like, no, give it up
Brandon,
now.
It's a lot of
Brandon,
wellness checks.
Brandon, what type of friend do you think you are?
I kind of like what Sean and Darius were saying also, like I mean, I feel like we've all kind of just kind of said that same had taken that same stance. um I'm definitely the kind of friend who, like, if you let me know you need me, I am there. Like, just like Sean, when it comes to not being the communicator, I've heard that my entire life. I am a natural loner. I've been a loner since I was a kid. Like, um, yeah, that's just how I move. You know what I mean? Like, I could be sitting here laying in the bed watching TV, blah blah blah. It's not my inclination to pick up the phone and be like, oh, let me just blah blah blah. It's not at all. I hate being on the phone, hate holding a phone. But I'll text with you and I'll talk on the phone with you if you call me. Sure. Like, but I'm not that's not me. But I'm there if you need that. You know what I mean? Always. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of friend I am. I'm a friend who is there whenever anybody needs me. I don't think I know anybody who would I mean, I might not be there in all the ways that someone may need me at times, you know what I mean? But when somebody needs, like, to reach out to somebody, or especially if they need me, like, and if it's something like, important to them, I don't think I know anybody who would say that they don't think that I would show up for them when they need
Okay.
me to show up. You know what I mean? I stand on that. I believe that to be so, uh yeah, I'm just not. I'm so solo dolo, like, and I'm not a needy person, and even at this point, I realize it's affected my relationship, even like dating relationships. I'm like somebody who I had gone out with for a while, like having to, like, really let me know, excuse me, that, like, how not needy I am was kind of like affecting him. You know what I mean? It was making him feel like it was interest based. And I'm like, no, it's not interest. Like, I'm not needy. You know what I mean? I talk, when we talk, we talk, when we go out, we go out, but I'm not, I'm not like that overly affectionate type. I'm not needy. I'm very to myself,
Yeah.
you know? And most importantly, I'm loyal to a fault. I am a loyal friend. I'm not gonna throw nobody under the bus. I can, and people like to throw this term around a lot, but I am 1000% the kind of person who will not say anything behind your back that I won't say to your face. If I say it behind your back, I would certainly say it to your face. Um,
Okay.
And I don't think that's. I mean, I think that's a good thing for the obvious reasons, you know. But to kind of like piggyback on that to the stance of how people may interpret that as like, oh, thing, you know, when people talk behind people's back, it usually has a negative connotation and stuff like that. But it also plays into the fact that not every criticism of a person is negative or harsh. You know what I mean? It's not mean all the time. Like you don't have to like everything about everybody who matters to you. You know what I mean? Like you somebody can be really, really close to you, but you hate this X, Y, and Z about them. But overall, you'll take the 80-20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I also wanted to add in really quickly something. I don't know if it was end of last year or the beginning of this year, but of all people, your boo, your boo Jeff, Claudia Jordan.
I don't have any beef with Claudia Jordan.
No, I actually love Claudia, but I always, you know, when that time when she got in your comments. So yeah, and I love that about her in general. But I was watching TGIF one night and she was talking about whatever story they were discussing. And she was like, you know, a big light for her was when she had to realize that she can't expect herself from other people. Like, you know, like at a certain point, you have to realize that the kind of friend that you are is the kind of friend that you are. You can't expect all friends to show up for you the exact same way. That's a choice for you to make on whether or not they show up for you in enough ways. You know what I mean? But we can't expect mirror images from ourselves because we would show up like this, that they will necessarily show up like that. You know, we can communicate through a lot of things and you know, and reach out and ask for some of the things we need, but we can't expect it to be everyone's inclination to show up the same way we show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Good comes in more than one package.
I want some mirror images of me. Can I have that?
It sounds
I mean, no,
like you
they're
already
great.
have
That's
those,
great.
though.
I mean, if we like the people we are, then we would love to have more people like
I want that. Can I have that? Find me that. That is your task.
But you said you have that.
Yeah,
you said most of the people that you hang with are people that are very similar to you. That have
they are very similar to me. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
So
like my closest friends I adore. Yeah,
you've arrived. So
you have.
And also just to tag on the other part from the reciprocity side, there are also people who I know I have zero doubt in my mind. Just like I said, people who know that I would show up for them when they need me. I know there are people who, the minute I reach out, even as somebody who does not reach out that often.
So I'm gonna become a needy hoe so that I can rely on the friends that.
What happened?
Yeah, I need to become a needy hoe, so I can like rely on my friends that are like me. So I'll be like, yeah.
Or just put it to the test.
And to clarify, I'm sorry, y'all, but just I don't want to forget it. But to clarify, I wasn't saying needy in a bad way. Like needy. I meant from the 0 to 100. You know what I mean? Like needy's over here at 0 and 100 is like stoic and solo. Then that's what I meant. Like, you know, somebody who is more somebody who's more emotional and who deals with more like of emotional codependence and stuff like that, and not in a negative way. People who want more emotion and affection in their relationships.
Yeah, I understand what you meant. I didn't mean I did not think that you were meaning that they were like needy. That they just kind of require more of their relationships, or you have to pour more into them than what you need for yourself. Like you're low maintenance, and some people are just like middle maintenance. And when it comes to I got what you meant.
I need to up my maintenance quotient. Yeah, I'm low maintenance. I need to be a little bit more higher maintenance. Yeah. I'm gonna move toward that.
Go on. I didn't mean to cut you off, Sean, but I want to say while we're still there, I wanted to share a story. I thought about this earlier when you first mentioned that you wanted for tonight's talk to be about friendships. And I forgot I was sharing this with another friend of mine a couple months ago. But I always used to wonder, like when I was a kid, Like my mom's best friend was my godmother. And they had been friends since either middle school or high school. And throughout my entire life, that always remained my mother's best friend. However, my mom had another friend who was a coworker, and they socialized so much more. Like I was so much closer with her kids. Like I grew up with them like more than my cousins half the time. You know what I mean? Like they were that tight socially. And as a kid, I asked my mom about, I'm like, how is my godmom your best friend when I see this friend all the time, And she was just pointing out that like that's the nature of their relationship. Like they don't need to live the same existence, you know what I mean? Like day in and day out. And in order to validate, their level of friendship. And then when I was an adult, I remember talking to my godmother about it. And she was like, yeah. And I told her about me asking my mom about their relationship and why they remain best friends. And she was like, yeah, because your mom and C, that's the other friend, I'm gonna say C. She was like, yeah, they like to party and like hang out and stuff like that, and like have fight parties and all this kind of stuff. Like my mom was very social with her social circle, but my godmother was like a very, very like very staunch Christian. You know what I mean? So she didn't like drink, and she didn't go out, she didn't play cards, she didn't do that kind of stuff. And this is stuff that they did when I was a kid, you know what I mean? When I was younger. But yeah, and it's just like, even though their lifestyles were very different, it never affected their actual relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and they were well into 70, damn near, so.
Yeah. People, and that's the thing, you can have friends of different circles or different ways that they interact socially can be some of the best of friends. So,
right.
You're not everybody that I would say that I would consider a friend is exactly like me. And I do appreciate having the variety of people that I do know. Yeah.
I think it's too way. Look, I don't want a friend group that's exactly the same as me. A couple are fine, but that'd be a lot of work. It's like, because everyone would have opinions, and yeah, it wouldn't work out.
It's about relationship.
You have to have
Friendship is a relationship,
complementary,
and people forget the fact that like it's not a romantic relationship. Friendship is another relationship. You know what I mean? And it's like you can't. It doesn't always make sense. You know what I mean? On paper, it doesn't always make sense on paper.
You have to complete the circle. It's like everyone can't be in the same little quadrant. Otherwise, it's like you don't grow, you don't learn.
Right.
You need to complete the circle.
Yeah.
It's not going to be 360, but 290 ain't bad. 300 ain't bad.
I agree. And on that note, I think we can wrap it up. So again, guys, thanks for indulging this experimental episode by showing up on camera. I'm going to, as I mentioned earlier, there's some show notes that I'll have where I will list some resources for men to some articles they can read to explore making friends and making those platonic connections, and hopefully there'll be some people that can grow from that. So with that, thanks again for listening, and thanks host and panel for again indulging me with showing up on camera for this episode. We'll see if we'll do this again in the future another time. So again, I am Jeff, and we have also with us
Brandon,
Sean.
Adios here.
It's only the two of us, I guess.
It's only the two of us, yeah. And I'm Darius. So,
all right, everyone. Thank you. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Now be sure to like, share, and follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcast, and Spotify at Just Draws. That's JUSTDRAWZ. Until next time, as you interact within your various communities, Remember to be like Draws and don't be afraid to offer a little bit of support.